Actress Jennifer Aniston just gave a very revealing interview where she made some rare comments about what she calls the love triangle between herself, Angelina Jolie, and Brad Pitt.
For 2 decades, Jennifer Aniston stayed mostly silent about the breakup that rocked Hollywood and defined tabloid culture. Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie, and Jennifer Aniston weren't just people. They were the players in a love triangle the world couldn't stop watching. Now, after years of speculation and restraint, Aniston finally speaks. In a rare moment of vulnerability, she pulls back the curtain on what really happened, and what she reveals is far more painful than anyone imagined. 2 interviews, same wounds. Poor Jennifer. When Aniston sat down with Vanity Fair for a recent interview, something shifted. For the first time in years, she didn't dodge the topic. She didn't laugh it off. She didn't pivot to focusing on the future. Instead, she looked back, and what she shared was unexpectedly raw. She talked about the first big interview she did right after the divorce. The original Vanity Fair piece, the one the world dissected in 2005 like a sacred text. "I haven't looked at that article in forever," she admitted. "I just remember the experience of doing it, which was kind of jarring. It was also such a vulnerable time. But yeah, that was one for the memoirs." Think about that for a second. One of the most watched women in the world, going through a public heartbreak, being asked to sit down and smile through questions she didn't want to answer, all while the tabloids tore her apart. The phrase "one for the memoirs" says everything. It's casual, but you can feel the ache underneath. And then came the breakup. The movie that, on paper, felt like emotional sabotage. Playing a character going through a bitter split while her real marriage had just imploded? It should have been impossible. But Jennifer took it. Not just took it, embraced it. "It was kind of cathartic," she said. "When they came to me, they were a little nervous."
When they came to me with the offer, they were a little nervous about making the offer because they thought, "Oh, is that insensitive? Is it inappropriate?" But I actually thought what a great opportunity.
But I thought, what a great opportunity. I knew it would actually benefit me emotionally, just as a human being. That wasn't just work. That was survival. In a world where she couldn't control the headlines, she found a way to control the script, literally. The wife and the other woman. When Jennifer Aniston and Brad Pitt got together in the late 90s, it felt like something out of a rom-com. The gorgeous movie star meets the funny, charming girl next door, and sparks fly. In 1998, their agents introduced them, and they began dating in what the media quickly dubbed a picture-perfect romance. By 2000, they were married in a lavish Malibu ceremony complete with fireworks, private security, and a guest list that looked like the Oscars. It was a moment. Fans were obsessed. This was the golden couple of Hollywood, and for a while it really seemed like the fantasy was real. Behind the scenes, things weren't always perfect, but what marriage is? Jennifer was wrapping up her role as Rachel Green on Friends, while Brad's movie career was exploding. From Fight Club to Ocean's 11, he was everywhere. Still, in interviews, they seemed in sync, playful, affectionate, even a little goofy. Jen would joke about his love of architecture, and Brad would call her his girl. It felt authentic. It felt solid. But things started to shift in 2004 when Brad signed on to star opposite Angelina Jolie in Mr. and Mrs. Smith. On screen, the chemistry was undeniable. Off screen, rumors flew. Tabloids speculated that something more than acting was happening between Brad and Angelina. The word affair was whispered, printed, and eventually shouted from magazine covers around the world. Jen and Brad denied it at first. No cheating, no betrayal, just growing apart, they said. In January 2005, Brad and Jen announced their separation. Their statement read as polished and poised as you'd expect. "We would like to explain that our separation is not the result of any of the speculation reported by the tabloid media. This decision is the result of much thoughtful consideration." Did the world buy it? Nope. Who would, when the other woman entered the frame that quick? It's like Ross sleeping with another woman when he was on a break, with Rachel Green. Enter Brangelina. The world didn't believe the reason for their end, especially not after Brad was photographed vacationing with Angelina Jolie and her son Maddox in Kenya just a few months later. That was the unofficial confirmation. Whether or not emotional lines had been crossed before the divorce, the timeline was messy, and it hurt. Publicly, Jen kept it together, calm, mature, and heartbreakingly gracious. Privately, she was shattered. In the 2005 Vanity Fair interview, she said of Brad's photo shoot with Angelina and her kids, "There's a sensitivity chip that's missing." That single quote went viral before going viral was even a thing. What made it worse was the media circus. It wasn't just a breakup, it became a narrative. Jen was cast as the abandoned, heartbroken wife. Angelina became the exotic, seductive, other woman. And Brad? He was the man caught between two powerful archetypes. The press turned their private pain into public entertainment. Team Jen versus Team Angelina t-shirts sold like hotcakes. People picked sides like it was a sporting event. But what really happened between Brad and Jen was something far more ordinary. They grew apart. In later interviews, Jen admitted they were two very different people who wanted different things. She wanted a family. Brad, by his own account, wasn't ready. The media loved to speculate that Jen's focus on her career caused a rift, but that was a shallow, sexist take. The truth was more complex and deeply human. In a 2011 interview with Parade, Brad made headlines when he said he wasn't living an interesting life during his marriage to Jen. He later clarified, saying his words were taken out of context and that Jen was a giving, loving, and hilarious woman. Still, the damage was done. Every word either of them spoke was dissected and twisted. Even years after their split, the media wouldn't let them go. Meanwhile, Angelina and Brad's relationship took off like wildfire. By 2006, she was pregnant with their first child. They became Brangelina, a brand in and of themselves, adopting children from across the globe, starring in films together, and dominating headlines. It was flashy, it was intense, and it only intensified the pain for those still rooting for Brad and Jen to reunite. As for Jen, she kept moving forward, slowly, gracefully, and sometimes painfully. She made bold career moves, took on more serious film roles, and rebuilt her life piece by piece. She dated again, kept her circle tight, and rarely, if ever, spoke publicly about Brad. It wasn't bitterness, it was boundaries. What's always been striking is that Jennifer never fought back in the way tabloids expected her to. She never trashed Angelina, she never blamed Brad outright. She just kept it real and painfully honest. In the original Vanity Fair piece, she said, "Am I lonely? Yes. Am I upset? Yes. Am I confused? Yes. Do I have my days when I've thrown a little pity party for myself? Absolutely. But I'm also doing really well." That balance of vulnerability and strength became her quiet superpower. Fans loved her more for it. While Brangelina became a media spectacle, Jen became something more relatable. A woman who got knocked down in front of the whole world and got back up without losing her soul. Then came the unexpected twist. Brad and Angelina's eventual split in 2016. After a decade together, their divorce was messy and highly publicized. Suddenly, the triangle that defined a generation was back in the headlines. Old interviews were resurrected. Fans imagined Jen smirking somewhere with a glass of wine, but she never played into it. In fact, she remained once again classy and quiet. And then came 2020, the moment. Brad and Jen, both single, were photographed backstage at the SAG Awards. They smiled, they touched hands. The internet melted down. The photos launched 1,000 rumors. Are they back together? Did they never stop loving each other? But it wasn't a rom-com reunion. It was just two exes, grown up, being kind to one another. Now, in 2025, Jen's reflection feels different, more grounded, less guarded. She's not trying to rewrite the past. She's just finally giving herself permission to speak about it honestly. There's no dramatic revelation, no scandalous detail, just the truth. She was hurt, she was human, and it took years to heal. What really happened to Brad and Jen? The simple answer? Life. Two people who loved each other deeply but couldn't stay aligned. Fame, timing, and different desires pulled them apart. What came after, the tabloids, the spectacle, the heartbreak, was the noise. The real story is quieter, sadder, but somehow more beautiful. Because through it all, Jen never lost herself. She became one of the biggest stars in Hollywood. The evolution of a public personality. In the late 90s, Jennifer Aniston wasn't just a TV star, she was a cultural force. As Friends soared to unimaginable heights, Aniston became the face of the era. With her witty one-liners, enviable hair, the Rachel was practically a movement. And natural charm. She wasn't just part of a hit sitcom, she helped define what it meant to be a household name in the golden age of television. But what makes Aniston's story truly compelling isn't just how she rose, it's how she stayed. Because long after Friends ended, and long after her personal life was dragged across every tabloid cover in the world, she didn't fade, she didn't retreat, she didn't spiral like so many in her position might have. Instead, she evolved. From America's sweetheart to heartbreak icon. When her marriage to Brad Pitt collapsed in 2005, Jennifer Aniston wasn't just a woman going through a painful divorce. She became the woman who had been left behind. The media wasn't kind. She was framed as the sad ex-wife, a trope the tabloids clung to for years.
Now, I think she's still sad as you would be 6 months after ending a 7-year relationship, but hopeful. She's very optimistic about her future. Her career is going great.
The narrative was simple and brutal. Brad traded her in for the younger, sexier, more exciting Angelina Jolie. Whether or not that was the truth didn't seem to matter. The damage was done. But even in the darkest period of her public life, Jennifer's image didn't crumble. It only shifted. She became something more layered, relatable, vulnerable, human. The world watched her grieve in real time, not with messy interviews or emotional meltdowns, but with small human moments, teary red carpets, emotional performances, and rare, raw quotes that revealed just enough. And through it all, she kept working, blossoming through the fire. Many assumed her career would take a hit after the divorce. Hollywood can be cruel to women, especially women cast as damaged goods in the public eye. But Jennifer Aniston proved everyone wrong. Her post-Friends film career was already on the rise. But after 2005, it exploded. She headlined box office hits like The Breakup, Marley and Me, The Switch, and Horrible Bosses. She carved out her own lane, mastering the art of the relatable rom-com lead while slowly pivoting into more dramatic roles. The Good Girl had already shown she could do serious, but her later work proved it again and again. Then came Cake, 2014, a quiet, gritty indie that showcased her dramatic depth. Critics praised her raw performance as a woman battling chronic pain and deep emotional trauma. It was a turning point. The industry and audiences began to see her not just as a star, but as a serious actor. In 2019, the morning show cemented that legacy. Her performance as Alex Levy, a news anchor grappling with a #MeToo-era media scandal, was sharp, emotional, and unflinchingly real. The role won her a Screen Actors Guild Award and an Emmy nomination, and reminded everyone just how much she was capable of. It wasn't just a comeback, it was a reinvention. A quiet form of resistance. Through all of this, perhaps Jennifer Aniston's greatest strength was what she didn't do. She didn't drag Brad Pitt through the mud. She didn't throw shade at Angelina Jolie. She never cashed in on a tell-all, never aired dirty laundry on talk shows. She refused to play into the drama, and that in itself became a form of resistance. In a world that feeds off chaos and public breakdowns, Jen's choice to stay silent, or at least stay measured, was radical. It wasn't weakness, it was strategy. Grace, it turns out, can be powerful. People expected her to be bitter. She was heartbroken, sure. But bitter? Never. She let the world spin its theories and tell its stories. And instead of fighting back, she just lived. She worked. She laughed. She grew. There's something deeply dignified about that kind of resilience. When the media tried to reduce her to a meme, the jilted wife, the lonely woman, the one who couldn't keep a man, she quietly dismantled the stereotype simply by being. She didn't need to scream to be heard. She just needed to stay standing. Still a star, even when her heart was breaking. It's important to remember, Jennifer Aniston didn't just survive, she thrived. Even at the height of the heartbreak, she remained one of the most bankable, beloved stars in the world. She wasn't just Brad Pitt's ex, she was still Rachel. She was still that effortlessly funny woman who could deliver a punchline better than most comedians. She was the girl everyone wanted to be friends with, the one who made vulnerability look strong and authenticity look cool. In a time when so many female stars were boxed into specific types, Jen somehow managed to be all of them. Glamorous but grounded, wounded but wise, private but open, just enough to keep people connected. And that connection? It never broke. Through brand deals, viral interviews, and 1,000 magazine covers, she kept her star power not just intact, but glowing. She didn't fade with age or scandal. She adapted. She matured. She became something more than a celebrity. She became a symbol of grace under pressure. So why speak now? Taking back her story 20 years later. It's been 2 decades. Time has passed. People have moved on. Even Brad and Angelina are no longer together. But something about this moment feels right. Maybe it's because the world is finally willing to listen, really listen, to a woman's story on her own terms. Jennifer isn't looking for pity. She's not settling old scores. She's simply owning her truth. She's looking back not to rehash, but to reclaim. That's the power of reflection. And when she recently told Vanity Fair that her 2005 interview was jarring and one for the memoirs, it wasn't just a throwaway comment. It was a quiet acknowledgement of everything she endured and everything she overcame. Speaking now, she's no longer the hurt wife. She's the healed woman, the grown woman, the one who gets to narrate her life without interruption. And that's the real evolution, not just of her career, but of herself. Healing for Jen, Angelina, and Brad. It's been 20 years since the most famous love triangle in Hollywood history began. And if there's one word that defines where Jennifer Aniston, Angelina Jolie, and Brad Pitt are today, it's healing. For Jennifer, healing hasn't been a straight line, and it certainly didn't happen overnight. It took years of self-reflection, emotional growth, and yes, the brutal process of letting go of a story that wasn't entirely hers to begin with. The media tried to cast her as a victim, but over time, she reclaimed her image by simply living well, with grace, humor, and authenticity. Her decision to finally speak openly about the past isn't about reopening wounds. It's about acknowledging them, honoring how far she's come, and freeing herself from the silence she wore like armor for so long. Brad Pitt, too, has taken his own complicated path toward healing. After his high-profile split from Angelina Jolie in 2016 and their lengthy custody battle, Brad became more introspective than ever. In interviews, he's spoken about confronting his issues, including substance abuse and emotional immaturity. He's owned up to mistakes, admitted to personal failings, and taken accountability in ways that suggest growth. His relationship with Jennifer seems to have softened over time. Their reunion at the 2020 SAG Awards wasn't a rekindling of romance, but perhaps a moment of genuine friendship, closure, and mutual respect. Angelina's journey has been no less complex. Her image transformed from the other woman to humanitarian icon, mother of 6, and Oscar-winning powerhouse. But her divorce from Brad was painful and very public. Since then, she's focused on her children, her advocacy, and her healing. She's spoken candidly about trauma, survival, and putting her family first. Like Jen and Brad, she seems to have found peace in solitude and purpose in reinvention. These three aren't enemies. They're human beings who lived through an emotional firestorm no one was truly prepared for. And now, 2 decades later, each of them, in their own way, has stepped out of the shadows of scandal and into the light of self-awareness. Healing doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like moving on quietly. Sometimes it looks like laughing again, loving again, forgiving without forgetting. For Jen, Brad, and Angelina, the healing may not be perfect, but it's real. And maybe that's the most powerful ending of all. No winners, no losers, just people learning, evolving, and finally letting go. After 2 decades of silence, heartbreak, reinvention, and growth, Jennifer Aniston's decision to speak out isn't just a reflection on the past, it's a statement of strength. Her story, along with Brad Pitt's and Angelina Jolie's, has evolved beyond scandal into something deeper, healing. These weren't just tabloid characters. They were real people caught in an emotional storm. Now, with time, maturity, and perspective, they've each found their own peace. Jen's quiet resilience, Brad's reckoning, and Angelina's strength all show that healing isn't about revenge. It's about reclaiming your story and finally choosing to move forward. Do you think Jen was cheated on? Comment your thoughts below and subscribe to the channel for more.